Welcome to this week's recap. Hope this was a little bit more calm week. We've seen a lot of students doing great progress. Hopefully, some things we want to talk about this. The first is you don't forget the quizzes. We've seen that some of you haven't done your quizzes yet. And the next week is the end date for the second quiz. You can have more time, but it's good to do the normal deadlines. Also, we also want to check out the study guide today. So if we change this one here, yeah. So on the welcome page, you can see here step 2, read the study guide. And in the study guide, you can read a lot about the project, because we got some questions about the project, what's needed and stuff like that. And if you go down, you can see if you want, for example, a higher grade, what to do, and what your effort should be, both in the written report and about the project. So it's a good way to read here to understand. So we are also waiting for, if you have any questions, you can write them in YouTube or you can write them in the Discord server. Well, the teacher assistants, do we have had any good projects good questions this week?
Just answering the first part of the question, yeah, we've had a lot of really cool projects actually.
Yeah.
So we have baby monitors, we have automatic water irrigation for plants, and we have all of those cool projects. And then we also have like a lot of, the usual, the ones that we have like in the tutorials, like with the temperature and humidity sensors, and as for questions, this week has mostly been pretty much about the viability or feasibility of students' projects, which is really, really good, because that means that students have began planning on their actual project that they want to do. And you please continue to do that, because you can always drop in a workshop or just write a question if you have any questions regarding your particular project.
We also want more people to show up on and ask questions during the workshops, because it's good to have questions now. You can get help, a lot of help now, and you don't have to wait. So don't wait to the last week, then maybe too many want to ask a question to us. So we will have to have a queue, and you have to wait a lot. So please enter the workshops, and we're waiting for you there.
Also worth mentioning, writing questions like in all the different channels is actually kind of valuable as well, because other people can see your questions, and maybe you get a solution, you get an answer from a TA or from some other one in the community, and they can actually take help from that, instead of like having to ask the question again and again. So like having activity and asking and posting like information about your project or progress with your project is actually pretty valuable to other students as well. So.
And I want also to mention that some of the students, they send direct message. It's better to ask in the chat on Discord server, because during this week, I received several, and I try to ask them to ask, because your question could be someone else's question, and when we answer there, it's gonna solve many other issues as well. That would be nice if you could send it in the server instead of the direct message.
Yeah. I think we talked about that channel in the last recap, so I hope most people know where to find it. See, no questions yet?
Not on Discord. We
No.
don't have any questions for the live, but it's good, Joachim, probably to talk with Charlotta about possibility of having a workshop dedicated to soldering, because many students, they ask about soldering and that they wanted to know what the techniques, and Charlotta is one of our best doing soldering.
I have soldered many mechanical keyboards in my day. Yes, but I saw a bunch of questions about soldering, so yeah, we could probably do that. Have a bit of a beginner's tutorial for it, and I can show a bit of what I usually do.
Yeah, so we can post an announcement in the course announcements channel, and if you would like to participate, you can give a thumbs up, and we can pick a workshop next week for that. And not all TAs are going to attend that. Maybe it's me and Charlotta and Hamed, and then us can take the usual workshop, or Hamed or Charlotta. There's going to be two of us, and then you can ask your usual questions as well, just like a regular workshop too. And also worth mentioning is, as people have began wondering about their project and the feasibility of it and whatnot, people are also already wondering about the higher grades and what's expected of you and things like that. And we're going to post the spreadsheet to book a time slot for pretty much all of next week and the beginning of the last week, where you can book 15 minutes or several 15-minute slots to discuss your project. So if there's something amiss or lacking, we can take it early, so you can expand upon it if you want an A, for instance. And we're going to post that either later today or tomorrow, and we're going to post that in the course announcements channel as well.
Worth to mention that the link Daniel showed, your first reference should be there if you want to know, for example, what projects should consist, and then we can help you with forming the idea if you're already not sure about what to implement. But about the grading, it's good to read the canvas. I think that explained quite well. I don't know if Daniel showed this session or not about the parts on canvas that it describe different gradings for the project.
Yeah, it's in the study guide. You can see all the complexity levels.
Yep.
And also we had a question. Yeah, definitely. We had a question from a student just prior to this recap as well. If it's okay to, instead of using the low-code or self-hosted solutions we have in the roadmap, if it would be okay to set up your own stack, maybe use MongoDB and create your own front end. That's totally fine. That would qualify for a more complex project as well. However, if you only were to use one sensor, and then you have the most complex visualization front end, it's not going to give you an A, because it's the complete package we're grading off of. So you're still going to have to you're still going to have to fulfill the complexity levels of the different parts, but it's totally okay to do that. You can pass this course with one sensor and just use one of the low-code platforms. That's totally fine. It won't give you an A, but you can still pass. And same goes for if you were to use 100 sensors, that doesn't really make sense, and then you're using a low-code platform, you're probably not going to get higher than a C. So it's worth noting and reading in the complexity level guide in the study guide.
Yes, this is the exact screen sharing is the exact one. Yes. So it's, as you mentioned, it's always good to take a look at there.
Yeah, we can also talk about next week, what's going on next week, and that is for visualization. And so this week you should have gotten some sensor data reads, and you should have gotten Wi-Fi to work as well. We don't expect you to have begun with next week's visualization, but some of you have, and that's really, really cool. But this week should have been kind of calm for you, since just getting Wi-Fi to work shouldn't take more than an hour or so. And we actually have a question now. Would it be fine to host a web server on the Pico and do visualization directly on it instead of using some sort of cloud platform? No, because, or yeah, but you're not really sending data anywhere. You're keeping it on the you're keeping it locally on the Pico. So yes, while we would like have to access it from the internet or the network, at least, you're not sending the data, and that's one of the criteria, if that makes sense.
Yes,
Also,
I think
also,
that.
okay.
Go on.
Okay, yeah, I think for having the web server that you're sending the data to, it doesn't really make much sense to be hosting a web server on a low resource like power constrained device. So I think it makes a lot of sense to send this sensor data out to either a self-hosted solution, which could be like, for example, on your laptop or on a Raspberry Pi device, or you could use one of the low-code solutions that are kind of pre-made for this. Either, I mean, typically we recommend Ubidots or Adafruit for beginners. And then if you would like to use a cloud solution, you're also welcome to do that. But depends on your experience level. And I mean, you learn different things by using different platforms, I think, as well. So I don't know. You guys can, maybe Hamed can also elaborate a little bit.
Yes, you can choose any path, as Nas said, either the local platforms or the self-hosting, or even the cloud one like Azure or Amazon Web Services. If you're already familiar with those, you're free to choose. And the complexity is a package. I always say that if you want to have a room monitoring, have a sort of a scenario for it, because many projects is about room monitoring. But if you have a scenario to do some actuation based on something, then it's just adding to the solution, and it makes it more viable and more touchable when the people watch it. And also someone asked, I think in the chat, if it's okay to use one BME 680 instead of like two sensors. That's completely valid. It's a as I mentioned, it's a package. So you can get if you just make a scenario out of what you're gonna do, or if you have like one BME controlling indoor, then you can have another DHT11 controlling outdoor. So to make a scenario how the indoor weather quality or air quality could affect by the outdoor quality, or so then you evaluate your air conditioning system in your room or in your place. In that case, yes, you can get the higher grade if you have sort of scenario based solution for what you're going to implement.
The thing is, would we count that as one sensor or two sensors, Hamid, since it's a combined sensor?
I mean, think it's two sensor.
Yeah, I think so too, but it's hard to tell. But yeah, you could definitely, but you would, like, to be on the safe side, I would use something else as well. I would like expand upon it. I would create whatever you're trying to do right now. Like you have one sensor and you try the TIG stack, ELK stack, self-hosted, and you do something really cool. And then, like in the end of it, I would probably like just hook up another sensor just to be on the safe side, like one that makes sense for your use case, whatever that might be.
There's a question in the StreamYard chat from Niels. They ask, I'm thinking about sending MQTT from the Pico to my Raspberry Pi running Home Assistant. Then from there, integrate InfluxDB to store the data and Grafana to visualize. Is that okay?
Yeah,
yes,
that
seems
project.
like a great idea. So that's a higher grade project. Yeah,
definitely.
Home Assistant integration is also fun, I think. I did that for my project as well. It's nice.
think we have another question coming soon as well. But yeah, experiment. That's a really cool project actually, and yeah. So we look forward to having you in the higher grade discussions next week.
It's a question typing still on Discord.
And then we can also touch upon this. We talked about this earlier, but the usage of LoRaWAN this year around, ElectroKit couldn't supply the previous year's LoRa modules, so we actually decided to take it out of the equation. It's no longer a necessity, or I'm not sure how we would grade it. I mean, like if you were to implement LoRaWAN this year around, it would be for higher grades, I'm assuming, because most of you won't even try because you can get your hands on one. But if you live abroad, or if you have like a LoRaWAN module since before or anything like that, you are free to use it. And it's a really cool, I mean, long range and low power consumption is really what IoT is all about. So if you want to try it, feel free to do so. But don't feel like it's a necessity this year. To have it count as multiple sensors, does that have to be actual sensors that collect data, or would, for example, a buzzer and an LED count as a sensor? Yeah, it would. So basically, screens would count as a sensor. LEDs would count as not a sensor in itself, but I mean, it's expanded functionality. So for instance, having the DHT11 just like a standalone, no LEDs, no nothing. Yeah, that's a basic project. But if you have like thresholds and you have like a couple of LEDs to like at a glance, you can basically take from the DHT what the temperature is. So basically green for under 20 degrees, orange for 25 to 30 degrees, and so on. That's like a more complex project. So it would count as an extra sensor. Having 100 LEDs on the breadboard does not count as 100 sensors, though. Yes, joystick would count as a sensor as well.
We also had a question. Sorry, you go.
Maybe worth actually saying the question before I answer it also. Someone asked if a joystick would count as a sensor as well. And yeah, of course it does. Sorry, Carlotta?
No, we also had a question about recommendations on a soldering iron for like wattage and or temperature. I don't have any specific recommendations for that, but I've soldered with like, you can just buy like a basic soldering iron from most stores, and that will probably work really well for your project.
I would say 30 watts and above, and maybe up to like 480 Celsius.
It all depends on the soldering material. Some of them they're low temperature, some of them are higher temperature.
But whatever you can get at like Shallow Company or Clas Ohlson or for 200 Swedish crowns and above will basically do. But being able to set the temperature yourself is actually kind of valuable.
That is nice, yes.
Oh, shoot, I bought the one that is like 15 watts. Yeah, I think it'll do fine as well. Like for these applications, yeah, it will work. You just have to like preheat it a little bit more and things like that.
Yes, I think when I started soldering, I actually used a wood burning tool, which is not recommended, but like, yeah, you can get it working. It might be a bit more finicky. But we'll go into it a bit more at the workshop as well.
Yeah.
I mean, soldering gets fairly elaborate pretty quickly. I mean, for smaller components, there's, I guess you can use like the hot air blowing soldering tools. And yeah, there's it's definitely kind of like an art, I guess, soldering different things. But it grows on you. Also, be careful about safety. I think they maybe still sell the lead-based soldering, I guess, wire, things like that.
Yeah.
So make sure you do it in a ventilated area, and that's important. Use a lot of flux. I mean, use enough flux. Wipe it off when you're done. Things like that.
Do we have anything else to go through this recap, Daniel?
No, we don't. It will be nice to see the workshop about soldering. I will attend as well, even though I solder a bit myself. Once again, don't forget the quizzes. We want more people at the workshops as well. If there are no more questions, we will thank you and have a nice weekend. And of course, you can ask questions in Discord chat. So if there's nothing more, we say hi.
Yeah.
Yes.
Glad midsommar and have a great weekend.
Glad midsommar.
Glad midsommar.
See you all.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.